In general, when you're at the kitchen line, you are reaching out with your forehand, right? So let's say you're on the left side and you're reaching out with your forehand in a forehand volley. If your partner cannot reach this way with their backhand from the right side, then they are too far from you. And that's a super common theme if you look at the pro level, even just in general. The players are a little bit further from each other at the kitchen line. Keep that in mind. The court gets smaller as two players get closer together. So when you're up at the kitchen line, and then let's say two people are back, then you can give your partner a little bit more space, especially if the left side player's got a big overhead, you can kind of just let them take it. And when you're back at the baseline, space is key, especially if you're defending overheads and lobs. Hey guys, James Ignatowich here. Just wanted to talk about the Selkirk ERA power. I've been using it every day. It's got the most power of any paddle that I've ever used with Selkirk, but the best part about it is the dwell time. I feel like the control is just spectacular on the paddle. It can reset really well, but once you get up to the kitchen, pretty scary to speed up at me because I've got that power. It's got so much pop off the face, and yeah, one of the best paddles I've ever used. Definitely check it out. Hey guys, so now we're going to talk about moving with your partner in pickleball. So court positioning, I think, is super important in pickleball. And it's one of those things where it actually changes depending on where you are in the court. So if you are at the kitchen line, I think it's important to be closer to your partner than when you're at the baseline. So when you're at the baseline, a lot of times you'll be playing with somebody that has, popped up the ball, for example, or let's say you've popped up the ball, and you should be a little further from your partner because there's more court for you to cover. So this is a bit of an interesting topic, but if you're at the kitchen line, obviously, first of all, the court is the same width no matter where you are in the court, right? So, let's say you're at the kitchen line or you're at the baseline, the court is going to be the same width. So that's not what I'm referring to here. What I am talking about, though, is that when you're at the baseline, you should be a little bit further from your partner because your opponent has more angles to hit the ball to. So they can be a little bit more aggressive, especially if you've popped the ball up and they can hit to the corners. So I would say, in general, when you're at the kitchen line, if you are reaching out with your forehand, right? So let's say you're on the left side and you're reaching out with your forehand in a forehand volley. If your partner cannot reach this way with their backhand from the right side, then they are too far from you. So that's the drill that we like to do, just to make sure that you're in the right spot, is when I'm teaching these clinics, at any point at a kitchen line exchange, I will say, hey guys, stop. And then the point has to stop right there. They stop, and then I say, okay, left side player, stick your right arm out this way for a forehand. Right side player, stick your right arm out this way for a backhand. And if you can't touch each other, then you're too far away from each other. And that's a super common theme if you look at the pro level, even just in general. As you go down in level, the players are a little bit further from each other at the kitchen line. So I think at the kitchen line, being closer together is a huge thing, because mainly it's not really possible to hit a cross-court speed-up winner if you're going fully from cross-court to the other direction, going past the outside shoulder of that other person. So what that means is, let's say I'm on the right side, I'm going cross-court at that person that's cross-court from me, and then I go hard cross-court past their right shoulder. So let's say you're on the right, and somebody who's cross-court from you speeds it up hard past your right shoulder. That ball is going out every single time. It's not possible to keep that ball in. So the court's actually smaller as four players get closer together. So keep that in mind. The court, it becomes smaller in a way, geometrically maybe, if that's the right word for this. It gets smaller as two players get closer together. So when you're up at the kitchen line, and then let's say two people are back, then you can give your partner a little bit more space, especially if the left side player's got a big overhead. You can kind of just let them take it. But when you're up at the, or when you're back at the baseline, space is key, especially if you're defending overheads and lobs. So that's something to think of. Another thing is when you are in transition. So this is something that I like to do. When players are on the right side of the court in transition, it's okay to kind of sag back a little bit and take your time and try to hit the reset. Give yourself some more time while your partner who's on the left is trying to crash and be aggressive. So if you're somebody on the right side that likes to take their time in transition, like a Colin Johns, for example, and hit 2 or 3 resets, not really being a huge rush, what you shouldn't do is hit a drop cross court too often. Because if you hit a drop cross court and you pop it up, then your left side partner is in a horrible spot if you went up there to crash. Because let's say you're on the right side, you hit a high drop cross court, it goes to that right sider's forehand right up there, and they will just smack it at your left side partner. So what you want to do is you want to drop it either down the line or to the middle. Because if you're on the right side of the court, your partner over there on the left is up there looking to crash. If you drop it to the middle, your left side partner can get involved. It makes it a little bit easier for them, and it's also tougher for your opponents to beat your left side partner to their left side behind them. And if you drop down the line, same thing is the case, but they could actually get more of an angle to go behind your left side partner. And also, if there's any chance that person's earning, then you're in a tough spot because it's easy to reset off earnings. So yeah, dropping to the middle on the right, I think, is a huge thing. I play with Colin Johns all the time. Colin and I are coming off 2 straight quarterfinal appearances, and Colin is always, not always say always, but he drops to the middle all the time. He's putting so many resets right into the middle and kind of letting me get up there and crash. Although for the most part, people will hit those transitional shots to me instead of him because he won't miss one. I might, right? So anyway, those are the main things there. Another thing that I think is important is when you're the serving team, to give each other space on the third shot. It's actually, I think, better, and this is just my personal opinion, but it's from what I've seen in clinics. It's better for the serving team to give each other a little bit more space as it relates to middle confusion. If 2 players are too close to one another, so let's say, I'm serving, I'm on the right side, my partner's over there on the left, and he's kind of crowding me, we're kind of close to each other, middle confusion can actually become more pronounced. If we're further from each other, it gives ourselves more time to look at each other and say, hey, that's mine, hey, that's yours. So just keep that in mind. This doesn't work for everybody, but giving your partner more space when they're about to hit their third shot, or when you're about to hit the third shot, whatever it is, as the team is hitting the third shot, that can help you. That space is big, and it makes it easier for that middle confusion to sort of go away. Hey guys, James Ignatowich here. Make sure to not get ghosted in the pickleball group chat. Play more. We all know the feeling. You're down to play some pickleball. You send a message to your group chat. A couple people like the message. Are you sure you're going to play the game? You don't really know. Play More is a new pickleball app that does that frustrating part for you. I hate setting up games. I try to make sure somebody else does it every single time. But if I have the Play More app, changes everything for me. So you're going to be playing with players your level. No more 5-0 versus 3-0 matchups. It's going to be all streamlined and super easy. So make sure to check out the Play More app. Try it out on the App Store or use the web version at getplaymore.com. So middle confusion is such a big deal as you go down below the 5-0 level. Even at the 5-0 level, there is a lot of middle confusion. And what I'm about to say is mostly applying to righty and righty teams. If it's a righty-lefty team, middle confusion can be even worse. But for this episode, we're just going to keep it righty on righty. So I think that one thing that will help prevent middle confusion, and this is a super key situational thing, and you watch it at the pro level, it happens all the time. So if a left side player is dinking cross court with another left side player, and they're going, cross court, backhand to backhand, whatever it is, and then let's say you are on the right, so your partner is dinking cross court left side, and you're like, what do? I'm on the right. Should I let them take this next middle ball? What's my situation? There's a very important cue for you to read and be aware of, which will then dictate, okay, it's my time to lean in and get aggressive and maybe take a bit of court on the right. And that is if the left side player who is in front of you is hitting a slice dink. So if the left side player in front of you is hitting a slice dink and you're on the right, you know one thing, they're not going to speed it up at you. People aren't going to speed it up with slice. And how do you determine whether somebody's slicing it or not? Well, if their paddle face is open. So it looks like this. If their paddle face is down, then they're going to probably hit an aggressive backhand. It's a little different. If their paddle face is open, they're slicing it. So what that means for me is I'm going to be ready to go, ready to get aggressive and ready to try to take the next ball out of the air. Another reason for that is spin continuation. So if somebody's slicing the ball, then that slice actually functions as my topspin. Since their slice is my topspin, I can lean in and then hit a really aggressive flick out of the air. So I think the best shot as it relates to out of the air shots for right-siders is that inside foot backhand flick. So you watch Gabe Tardio do that all the time. He will lean in, and he's Ben Johns' partner, if you weren't familiar. He will lean in, and if somebody in front of him is hitting a slice dink, Gabe is ready to attack out of the air with that backhand flick, because if I slice it to Gabe's backhand flick, he can put a ton of topspin on that ball, and he can go right at me with it. It makes it pretty tough. So that's something to do with. A left side player in front of you is hitting with topspin. It looks like they can speed it up. Then I'm saying, okay, you know what? I'm just going to hold my line. I'm going to let the left side player who's next to me cover the middle. And then, if they speed it up cross court, they speed it up cross court. That's not my problem, right? But if they're slicing, then I'm playing a little bit of a bigger role. So just keep that in mind. Watch if opponent is slicing or hitting topspin. Slicing basically means it's your turn to maybe get aggressive and play some offense. So another thing to be aware of, just with court positioning, is if it looks like the right side player that is cross court from you when you're on the right side is about to hit a big speed up, I think you should be pretty close to your partner. And this is something that kind of, people will go back and forth on, but I think if you watch the pros, this is what they do. So if a right side player is about to hit a speed up and you're cross court from them on the right, you don't just hold your ground and leave your left side player that's to the left of you on an island. I think what you do instead is take a couple steps to your left and make it pretty clear, even to the opponent, that you're ready to cover the middle. And then if the right side player does go for an aggressive dink behind you, you have enough time to take a step to your right and hopefully get that dink. You're not going to get beat behind you with a dink. If you do, then you might have to work on your movement or be a little bit more ready, or maybe take less of a step. But anyway, what I'll do is if I'm cross court from that person, I will take some space in the middle, because ultimately, I think the most successful speed up on average for right-siders is actually the cross-court speed up full bag, so to speak. So that means that if I'm on the right and I go hard cross-court right at the other right-side player who's cross-court from me. So that speed up is super, super effective, because it's so tough to get out of the way of a ball that is coming cross-court from you when you're on the right side, right? Because you think, well, should I lean this way to my dominant side, which is what most people do? No, because you're actually leaning right into the ball, because if it's coming cross-court from you, then you're going into the ball as you hit it. So I think it's better ultimately to just take up that court in the middle, because then if they speed it up cross-court from you, you're out of the way of that already. So it does two things. It helps protect your partner in the middle, but it also makes it so that you are not in the way of a ball that is being hit cross-court super hard at you. So yeah, if you're on the right, cover the middle pretty hard if you know that the right side or cross-court from you is going to speed the ball up, and then just be ready to go behind you if you do get beat by a dink. Those are the main things there. Another thing that I think can be helpful in transition is if you're getting beat or if you're in a tough spot in transition, try to remember to be the same distance from the ball as your partner instead of the same distance on the court. So when I'm in transition, something that can help me sometimes, depending on the matchup, is instead of being totally even and totally parallel with my partner in comparison to the net, no matter where the ball is, I will be the same distance from the ball. So if the ball is in front of me, let's say I'm on the left side and the person in front of me, who is a right sider, is hitting the ball with their forehand, then my partner should actually probably be a little bit closer to the net, right? And then if, let's say, the person cross court from me is hitting the ball with their backhand and I'm on the left, I'll be a little bit closer to the net and my partner will be a little bit further back, but actually we're the same distance from the ball because of the geometry of the court. Cross court's a little bit of a further distance. So that's something that can help you too, just being the same distance from the ball instead of just being parallel with your partner. That can help you. Another thing with court positioning is if somebody's hitting an overhead on the right side of the court, the chances that they go slice cross court to the other side is pretty low. So what I like to do is, well, then again, I mean, it's one of those things where if you see them turn their shoulders, they might go cross court, but rarely will somebody go for the cross court angle on the overhead from the right side. What is much more common is a left side player hitting an overhead that is inside out, so to speak, or cross court at the other left side player. So you can think of it this way: if you're on the left side and you have a high forehand, there's a pretty strong likelihood that you could take this high forehand or overhead cross court to your right. Let's say you're on the left, there's all that court over there, you've got a bunch of distance to put that cross court. But if you're on the right, or if, let's say, you're in the middle, it's a little bit tougher to bring that one all the way around the other side. So generally, when I'm on the left side of the court, most of my overheads are going that way to the right of me, kind of cross court. And if you're covering against an overhead that's being hit from the left side of the court, just be ready to handle those that are going cross court instead of ones that are going down the line. So it's kind of like the inverse. I might not be explaining it perfectly. I would say it's kind of like the inverse of what happens when you're covering a speed up. So let's say you're a team and you're covering a speed up, you're not really as worried about the cross court. It's like, okay, the easiest one is down the line, the second easiest one is middle. Cross court is kind of, more of an afterthought because you have more time. I think it's actually the opposite when you're defending against an overhead. It's easier to hit an overhead cross court because if they can go cross court, they have a ton of space and it'll bounce and just run away from you. So I think you actually cover the cross court first on an overhead, then the middle, then the down the line. So you just flip it back and forth. If you ever forget, just remember, what do I cover off of a speed up? And then you flip that back and forth, and then you think, okay, that's what I cover when I'm dealing with an overhead. So that's all we got for today. Thank you all for watching.